In this video, we're going to be talking about neurotransmitters. This is Chapter 12, Part 12. About 100 substances are either known or suspected to be neurotransmitters. Some neurotransmitters bind to their receptors and act quickly to open or close channels in the membrane, and the result can be either excitation or inhibition of postsynaptic neurons, and we talked about that in the last video. Many neurotransmitters are also hormones released into the bloodstream by endocrine cells in organs throughout the body. Within the brain, certain neurons called neurosecretory cells also secrete neurons. There are some small molecule neurotransmitters that we'll be talking about today. The big one is going to be acetylcholine. We're also going to quickly discuss amino acids and biogenic amines, ATP and other purines, nitric oxide, as well as carbon monoxide, all as neurotransmitters. Acetylcholine, up here, this is the best studied neurotransmitter, and it's released by many peripheral nervous system neurons and some central nervous system neurons. It's an excitatory neurotransmitter at some synapses, like at the neuromuscular junction, where it binds to ionotropic receptors, is going to be excitatory. And at other synapses, it's going to be inhibitory, like in the heart, where it binds to metabotropic receptors. There it's actually going to be inhibitory. Several amino acids act as neurotransmitters in the central nervous system. Glutamate and aspartate, these have very powerful excitatory effects. And then we also have gamma aminobutyric acid, otherwise known as GABA, and also glycine, and these are very important inhibitory neurotransmitters. GABA is a really important neurotransmitter that binds to ionotropic calcium receptors. Next, we have biogenic amines over here. These are modified amino acids norepinephrine right here. This plays roles in arousal, which is awakening from deep sleep, also dreaming and regulating mood. And a smaller number of neurons in the brain use epinephrine, just right here as a neurotransmitter. Both norepinephrine and epinephrine are used as hormones as well. Neurons containing dopamine here, these are active during emotional responses, also addictive behaviors, and pleasurable experiences as well. Serotonin, this is concentrated in the neurons that are in part of the brain called the raphe nucleus, and it's thought to be involved in sensory perception, temperature regulation, control of mood and appetite, and also the induction of sleep. A couple others that I won't really talk about, but purines like ATP, this is adenosine triphosphate. So this is ATP there. Some neuropeptides, and then nitric oxide and carbon monoxide are all other types of neurotransmitters as well. Very briefly, we're going to talk about neuropeptides, as we might see a couple of them in later chapters. So neuropeptides are neurotransmitters consisting of 30 to 40 amino acids that are linked by peptide bonds. So they are pretty widespread in both the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous systems. They bind to metabotropic receptors, and they do have both excitatory or inhibitory actions, kind of depending on the type of metabotropic receptor, the synapse. Some ones that we might see a little bit later would be endorphins, dynorphins, and angiotensin 2. These are they're going to come up later, so we don't have to know terribly much about them now, but just make note of their names and we will talk about them in later chapters. Here is just kind of a quick description of some of these neuropeptides. So you can see endorphins inhibit pain. Dynorphins are also thought to be related to controlling pain. Angiotensin 2 has a huge role in regulating blood pressure. So we will look at some of those a little bit later. So that's going to be the end of chapter 12, part 12.